This is a very interesting stage. It looks more like a rap concert stage than it is something else. This is a lot of energy. And normally when people talk about energy, or when I meet people that are my age, they don't really get very excited about energy. But I think that in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see so big changes in the energy industry that's going to change everything from how do we consume energy, how we produce energy, and how do we build economy and services using data from an energy ecosystem. And maybe to understand who we have here today, we have 2 big companies and we have 2 challengers. And so maybe we can start with you, Florian, here. Just a 1-minute introduction from each of you, I guess. Is it what do you do and what's your role? And yeah.
Thank you very much, Rainer. So the company I'm working for would be perceived in this room as a dinosaur. So I work for a utility company, one of the largest utility companies in Europe. We produce electrons, we ship them, and we sell them. And so we are in business for 110 years, which is a bit scary. And well, our hypothesis is that we don't act, and when we don't innovate, then we might be out of business in 20 years. So that's our background.
Yes, I'm the CEO of Fingrid, Jukka Ruusunen, and our job actually is to keep the lights on in this country, and it seems that we are doing quite well at the moment. And also we are sort of guardians of freedom, that we are responsible for facilitating the electricity market, because it's via the transactions in the market how we keep on the lights in this country. Also for startups, we have tried to be sort of a platform for growth for startups. We have worked closely, for example, with Sandor, and try to develop it so that we enhance new players to come in.
Okay, Sandor.
Hi, I'm Sandor Liive. I'm ex-utility guy, but now we're disrupting the industry a little bit, or helping to survive in other ways. I greatly believe that one-way traffic in electricity market, as it has been like so far, will be two-way traffic. We all will become, as private persons and enterprises as well, power generators, and we offer services to system operators to keep lights on. And what I do at the moment, we founded a company, GridIO, and we are building a platform which actually enables to connect existing electrical devices, even like electric water heaters, heating, air conditioning, and make money with that and save environment at the same time.
Thanks.
Yeah, hi, I'm Markku, local guy from Helsinki, startup company Fourdeg. So what we are after change, making things better for 2 kind of things. So our business is smart heating, so we want to provide better heating for people who are living and working in the buildings, not only the new buildings, but existing buildings as well. And we want to do it in a way that is useful for the whole ecosystem, meaning that also the energy company, but also the building service companies would have some favor of the things that we are doing. So our theme is to introduce change in a sustainable way.
All right, thank you guys. So this panel is very interesting because all of you are bringing change to the market in one way or another. And our company at PlanOS, we don't know much about energy generation, but what we do know is information and data. And the future of the economy will be driven by the data and the services that you do with that. And so for that to happen, the big companies also have to go through what they call digitization. So let's start with you guys. So Florian and Jukka, can you give us like a 1-minute overview of what are the biggest challenges for you to convert yourself from an old utility or to a digital energy company?
Yeah, sure. So I will answer this question by stating what is not the problem.
Okay.
The problem is not technology. So there is a lot of good technology out there. Technology becomes cheaper and cheaper. So availability and access of technology is not the problem. What is also not the problem is people. I think that we are able to source the people that we need for digitization, or work with partners that have these people in place. It's also number 3, not the business models that we run. A lot of the business models that we run are really very, very good and very, very versatile for digitization. So think about the customer businesses where you interface with all of you that you're sitting around here. So that is all not the problem. The problem is we, ourselves, our mindset, our culture, our tradition, and our DNA, and the inability to change. And that is very normal, I think. Everybody has this problem when you're used to a certain environment and you're used to certain patterns, and out of a sudden you get disrupted and the world around changes dramatically quick. Then human beings have a big problem to adopt. They can adopt, that's the good news. Yeah, that's maybe one of the advantages of the human species, but it's not easy, and also it's culturally not easy. And we have a big presence in Germany, and Germans are maybe not the quick adopters as some of you might have recognized in the past. So it's more or less a cultural problem, and maybe some of you wouldn't expect that as the main problem that we face.
Right.
Yes, I think for a grid company like Fingrid, it's in a sense easier because we don't have a sort of a heavy background. So we are running full speed with digitalization. We are making our systems more efficient so that we can keep the lights on even in a more reliable way, but using new sensor technologies and trying to go into that way, interacting with our customers in more modern ways. But I agree that it's pretty much also we have to run the cultural processes in parallel with this development. But we are on board, and a big challenge is that we get sort of the industry on board, that we don't run sort of too fast. And that's why I think the new challenges are very good, because they are sort of stimulating the process. But in the end, we have to deliver the new electricity system. And this is like sort of a gift from heaven, is the digitalization. Otherwise, we couldn't do it, or it would be much more expensive.
Speaking of cultural change, GridIO and Fourdeg are on the other side, and most people in this room, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming they're not in the energy industry, but they might be interested in it. But all of us are consumers of energy one way or another, and a lot of cultural change is happening bottom up, where people, the demand is driven by people wanting to have more information about their services. They want smart devices. They want to have a better, more convenient lifestyle with their home, and of course, it comes with all the knowledge around costs. So, in your world for GridIO and Fourdeg, what are your challenges in market penetration, where you actually have to appeal to both the end consumer and you have to collaborate with the big guys?
First of all, I think for clients, what they can win, it's at home a lot of devices what have a flexible demand, and even more actually is coming with electric cars. But actually, it's technologically we can connect them already. They're not yet connected, most of them. But the challenges are clearly that that's completely new for the people, and the mindset actually, it's our value proposition to the customers is that make money with electrical devices and save environment. And actually, it's okay. That's something completely new, because everybody asks, is that saving? No, you consume the same amount, but we're just shifting demand when it's needed in the market. And if we're talking about challenges, of course, it's for utilities. The benefit actually for utilities will be that they can shave a peak. Fingrid is spending I know 100 million euros a year in Finland, just in Finland, of buying different kind of reserves. It's Fingrid gets that. And then utilities, of course, can do something good for the people, because specifically distribution network companies, they have always bad news to the customers, because they raise price normally time to time, and if there is bad weather, will be a lack of electricity, and sometimes a days. So that's the value proposition. But we're talking to the utilities, and it's for the customers, and actually it's by the way, it's win-win.
Mm-hmm. Markku, what do you say?
Yeah, so challenge is, I would say that this is just work. The energy industry, it's very vital for the society, and it's like based on trust, reliability, and people are, for good reason, a bit conservative to take new things in. So what we have started to do is like we want to introduce something that makes life better for the consumers and for the people who are living and working in the buildings. And it seems that people get it. So like it's better heating and it costs a bit less. So where's the trouble? No trouble at all. On the other hand, when you want to make a big change so that the whole system will benefit, so that including the energy company, but also the service companies and also like people like owning the buildings, the landlords. So it means that you need to convince everybody not only with your product only, but also for their benefit. And that is the work that is taking a bit of a time. So like if you were just in the kind of introducing easy thing for the consumers, so I would say that we would have been delivering 2 years already. And now we started this year, so it took about 1.5 extra year to be a positive contributor to the whole of the ecosystem. So I think that is also one thing in this like energy business. So it hasn't got too much tradition of huge change, because it's been rather stable, like having somebody big manufacturers and then this kind of machines just distributing the energy. And now one is changing towards this kind of providing services. It's a big dramatic change, and for good reasons. It takes some time to get started, but it will happen, of course.
Right. So what humans are very good at is automating stuff. And what considers almost any bigger economy is that we are driving costs down, like ticket prices for airplanes or phone calls in the telco industry. So what we're seeing is that the cost of electrons is being driven also down, and you could make a claim that the cost of electrons in the future will be zero. And so a question for you, Florian, I know that at innogy you have a program called Free Electrons Program. So what do you say about the cost of electrons in the future, and what are you trying to do with the Free Electrons Program?
Yeah, well, actually, we to challenge ourselves and push our thinking into new dimensions, we came up with the hypothesis: in the future, the price for electrons will be zero. That's bad news for us. It's like when you're an oil and gas company and the price for oil becomes zero, you have a problem. Or if you produce iPhones and iPhones are for free, then you have to think, okay, what am I going to do then? How can I make money? How can I pay my bills and feed my people? And it's very interesting when you start thinking like that, and obviously that's a little bit also the Silicon Valley approach to push boundaries into areas where nobody has been yet. Then you come up with very interesting ideas and you become very creative. And actually, what we see is a problem of our industry is the ability of our industry to collaborate and also acquire innovation. Very simple, to buy products and services from startup companies that are highly innovative and that help us to become more innovative, and to support to find a life for us after the point in time when the electrons will be for free. So we set up a program which we will launch in January, where we gathered 8 utilities from around the world, so from Japan, from Singapore, from Europe, and we will run a program for innovative new companies to work together with them over a course of 3 modules, 15 days, in total over 1 year, to bring them business, so to generate revenues for the startups and to teach ourselves how to buy products and services from small innovative companies. So what we will not do is what Y Combinator, for example, is doing very successfully and good, trying to help people to start their businesses. We will try to help people to get business, and that is what we can deliver, I think, what we can bring to the party, and also where we can help us and also the ecosystems around us.
So Jukka, you have a very interesting initiative. So that electrons are becoming free, let's say, in the world. So it's all about the services and data that's going to be around that. And you have an initiative called the Data Hub, which interestingly is driven sort of top down as a requirement that everyone will need to share the information around consumption and production and so on. So what is the idea behind the data hub and who benefits?
The data hub actually is the platform for the retail market. So that will be sort of the master data for the whole Finnish system and for all consumption and also decentralized generation in the future. And there we try to sort of put like European Union also wants put consumer on the center. So in the future we feel we are going to more and more into the world where consumers are kings and queens and they decide. And of course it's then they volunteer how they give the data. So data privacy, of course, here is a key issue. We cannot succeed if we cannot protect that. But we provide a lot of opportunities for the consumers, better services, and also then opportunities for the challengers to come in. And it's also, I mean, in all digitalization, the quality of the data is the key. And in all countries, when we start projects like this, the quality is lousy, actually. How do you go on if you don't improve the quality? That's also one side of effect of that. But the idea is that make consumers stronger and help them, and they are part of this solution for the future. And when they trust us, they support the development.
So a question for you as startups, like what can these big guys do better or differently to help you to come into the market with your services?
I think it's fair to say that in most countries actually globally, the demand response is still illegal. And actually, even in Finland, it's not illegal, but I can't, as GridIO today, go and start business. I have to find somebody who is in the system. I mean, balance provider, all this stuff. Yeah. And as well, this is still notion that in utility worlds, that actually who owns the customer demand graph. If I'm going basically electronically start to switch demand a little bit, there is still notion, even in Europe, which is very liberal in the electricity market already, that actually utilities thinks that, and it's in many cases in the law, that actually I have to compensate that because I shifted the demand curve. There are actually a lot of things to do. It was very glad to see that Fortum CEO just 1.5 hours ago made a speech and said that actually it's going to be changed. I mean, we need your startups to basically help to save the energy world, because the one-way traffic is gone. I think utilities, system operators, lawmakers have to understand that world is changing. Solar is coming, wind is coming. It's all weather-dependent generation, and we can't keep system stable without demand response. It will be otherwise very, very expensive. And at the same time, at homes we have more and more equipment where we can shift demand. Electric car have to be charged during a night. Electric water heater have to have warm water when we need it, not 24 hours. So that there are a lot of things that we can do with modern technology. We just have to connect them, have a good platform, and have to trade.
Yes, so you asked what should the large companies do? So I would say that on the other side, what the startups needs to do. So we need to provide some ideas and models that the consumers and the energy companies' customers would favor. And then we go to the larger companies and ask if we would like to try that together. And that's what's happening. So we are now in the collaboration with so far Finnish district heating companies to provide demand-side management for the district heating. And they are very interested. They want to get to the service business, not only to be in the production business. And I think that is the thing what is needed. So they need to have the mentality of willing to do something new. And they also sometimes need to provide some money, perhaps, and take perhaps a little risk to try something new. But that's mainly, and the rest is with us, so that we need to come up with new ideas.
Florian, as a strategic investor in energy, you see a lot of startups who come and pitch, and there might be people that think about starting a company here as well. So what are the general pitfalls that you see startups often do in the energy space?
Yeah, right. I mean, in the last around 12 months or 60 months, we invested around $30 million in Silicon Valley. And I think, so we have a portfolio of companies, early stage, a little bit later stage as well. And I think there is one general theme that startups that want to serve our industry don't really understand well, and that's a really big problem. That's the long sales cycle to guys like us. And that's, I think, a very, very big problem for everyone, because if the sales cycle is very long, I mean, at a certain amount of time, you run out of money, your investors get impatient, and what do? And I mean, you see that if you study the history a little bit, 2008, 2009, more or less the clean tech investment scene in the United States crashed, and because of the financial crisis, but also because it took these portfolio companies very, very long to get market traction. I mean, it's just much more easy to design and develop a fancy app, put it on the App Store, and then you're in 160 countries and people start to buy the app. I mean, that's time to market can be very, very short. And if the adoption is good, the values go up, and people pay a lot of money for such companies. And in our industry, that is very, very different. And I think the utility companies have an obligation to change that. And I mean, this is the reason why we start this program, which we will pilot the first time next year, to support shorter sales cycles, to have more risk appetite, to experiment more, and also to then bring stuff from a proof of concept phase into real business, because that's also something what we see, that people do a lot of proof of concepts and to show the world how innovative they are. But I mean, if you do a proof of concept as a startup, you make maybe 200K revenues, and then it's game over. I mean, then you can't survive. And I think that is the biggest challenge that we see.
And sort of to wrap up on a more positive note, I mean, what you're doing is great, and I would like to encourage a lot of young entrepreneurs to think about energy as a potential sector to do business in, because there's so much to do and so much money involved, and while you're doing that, you can actually have a great impact on the environment in a positive way, and so on. So just from you guys, what do you think why is the energy market a sexy space? What would you say, or for like a potential budding entrepreneur, why would they have to start a business in the energy space?
First of all, we know that electricity is the winner when we try to save planet Earth. And in a couple of decades, most of the electricity will be generated by renewable electricity, which means that the electricity system will be totally renewed. So there's a lot of business, and business for big companies and business for small companies and for the startups. And I said that we just have to learn how to cooperate with even smaller companies. We have worked with many companies. Fingrid is very eager to outsource anything that we can. But now we have to learn how to work, as you said, to work with even smaller companies. We are not going to intervene in any competitive business, but we search the best ones and let the best ones survive. But we have to sort of support that as a platform. But this is our promise.
Sandor, why is the energy market sexy?
It's sexy because first it's big, it's changing. If you take just electricity, which is one part of the energy mix but increasing, it's globally more than 3 trillion euros. And it's going to probably double in the next 20 years. So it's very big, and it's changing, so that all this renewable thing which are coming, micro generation, rooftop solar, we are becoming, I mean, households as well. We're not only consuming, but we're going to generate. And it will be two-way traffic. It's so big change. With new technology, everything will be connected. There is a lot of new expertise needed. And actually, what we know that, utilities always not, the big utilities, not the best innovators, because they are afraid of fail. So that's big opportunity for the startups, where the failing is okay, which is in most cases they are failing, so that they have nothing to lose. So that from that point, I think energy sector have all the parameters to be really hotspot.
Right, Markku, you have the final.
Yeah, so, okay. So my previous industry was telecommunications. So I worked about 20 years with Nokia, and I saw the fixed phones turning into the smart, as we still call phones. So it was a total revolution of things, of concepts. The players changed. And I feel that the need in the energy market is greater that originally originated this telecommunications. So I think it's wonderful. It's one of the biggest industries in the world, and it's going to change dramatically during the 20 years. So if somebody is like a young entrepreneur or older entrepreneur, so if you are not in the energy business, you are in a wrong business. So this is the place to be.
On that bombshell, we'll finish. Thank you, gentlemen, for contributing to the Internet of Energy.
Thank you.
Thank you.